let's do it. Pinto soup, take one.
Hello, I'm so excited that you're back in the ZIA cooking kitchen. Today we're going to be creating a lovely, delicious recipe, and that is for Sopa Tarasca, which is a simple pinto bean soup. And it's one of my favorite things to make, especially year-round, and it's a great way to use ingredients we find in our kitchen all over New Mexico. My kitchen is already smelling wonderful because I got up early this morning and I went ahead and I made my pinto beans. The pinto beans that I made today were cooked in my crock pot, and I simply made them adding water, about an inch over the 2 cups of pinto beans that I used, and I added a couple of cloves of garlic and about 3 or 4 tablespoons of butter because I love that silky taste of butter in my beans. I did some heavy spicing today that I usually do a little bit different when I'm making beans to serve in burritos or in other forms, but when I'm making it for soup, I like to go ahead and spice it up a little bit, and I added in some ancho chile that was dried. I also added in some Mexican oregano, some black pepper, and some garlic salt. And so those are delicious and they're ready to go for our soup. Now on our comal, I went ahead and I started roasting these delicious vegetables. And what I'm using today are tomatoes, jalapeños, onion, and garlic. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of zoom that in there because I want you guys to take a look. As I started roasting them, what I did is I covered them in a light olive oil, and I have them going on a piece of foil. And those are just about ready. So let me show you how we're going to put this delicious soup together. And it's really easy and it's delicious, and I'm excited to share it with you. And again, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome again to ZIA Cooking. For those who are returning, welcome back, and make sure you click subscribe. I really love all the feedback that I've been getting, and it's been exciting to hear how you're taking these recipes we're creating and you're expanding them, and you're giving us some feedback, and that is exactly what we created this cooking show for. Let's go ahead and get started. In my blender, I've added 2 cups of vegetable stock. Now I'm making this with no meat today, but you can feel free to change it up if you'd like and use chicken broth instead. So what we're going to do is, using our vegetable stock that we have there, we're simply going to add in our nice roasted tomatoes. Woo, slippery one there. And we've got these nice charred onions. Now for those of you who are in a hurry, you can always use a can of diced tomatoes, and you can run them through the blender. But I love to incorporate fresh vegetables. You know that I do, and it's a great way to get my family to eat them. And so we're gonna add in our onion there. And I did 1 jalapeno, and I'll tell you the reason why. This is the perfect way to introduce your family to spices. 1 jalapeno can really flavor this soup up without making it too hot. And this is how I taught all my babies, my kids and my grandbabies, to start eating chili, was with pinto beans, because they are so creamy and delicious, and they soothe your mouth if it's too hot. So you might want to think about incorporating some jalapenos and introducing them to your family through beans as well. Now let's go ahead and get these blended, and it's loud. And so this great soup, I'm going to talk a little loud over this, is a combination of what I like to think of a roasted tomato soup with pinto beans. And we're going to go ahead and just mix that up and let it get pureed. It's going to take us a minute. Perfect. Now you can see that that came together really well, and it's just the simple roasted tomatoes with the olive oil. We're going to go ahead and add them into our stock pan. And today what I'm going to do in my Dutch oven is I added a little bit of olive oil, and we're going to go ahead and heat that up just a bit. And this is where we're going to put all of our ingredients to create this delicious soup I'm making today. So let's go ahead and we'll add in the first part of this tasty, delicious blend. I love sharing recipes that are simple. Of course, a lot of people follow along, but I like using the same ingredients in a different way and creating wonderful meals for our family. Let's go ahead and add that in now. And you can see it's got a nice blend to it there. There we go. Now I'm going to turn this up to a medium heat, and I'm going to go ahead and let it cook so that the flavors can infuse, and it's going to cook down a little bit while we move on to the next part. And give me 1 second and we'll get started on that. One of the fun things about making this delicious soup is all the lovely toppings that go on top of it. So if you like to stack all sorts of wonderful things on your soup, this is a soup lover's dream. I'm moving over here a pan that I have about an inch or so, maybe a little bit less, of vegetable oil, because I'm going to be preparing some crispy tortilla strips to put on top. And while this is heating up, I'm going to go ahead and let's get started on these lovely beans getting blended. Now all the ingredients are going to be listed below, so if you have any questions about that, you can refer to that area, and I'll make sure that I have those listed. Now adding these lovely beans directly to the same blender that we just used, and again, these are heavily spiced and they are delicious. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to include some of this broth that's in there, because that is going to help our beans blend and get the nice creamy flavor that we want. So these are going to be pureed or blended really, really well. This recipe is very special. My mama used to make this quite a bit when we were growing up, and I really like to call it a big hug in a bowl because it's warm and it's delicious. So let's go ahead and put those earplugs in, because I'm about to blend the heck out of these beans. Let's get going. You want to be very, very careful when you're blending hot things in your blender. Anytime you add something that's already warm, there's a tendency to build pressure, and you do not want to burn yourself, and you do not want to have any type of explosions. There's nothing worse than having to clean up a big mess in your kitchen. Oh, those look so lovely. Okay. Now you can see that this is coming to a nice light simmer, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our pinto beans directly in, and you'll see the color switch up and change just a tad there. Oh, this is already smelling so wonderful. Some people have never even thought about making bean soup. What's it like? Well, try it at home and let me get some feedback of what you think. I'll go ahead and mix this together. Now that is lovely. Now as this thickens up, we're going to move to the fun part, and that is creating our delicious toppings. Now we're working with hot oil, so again, you want to be safe and smart in your kitchen. And what I'm going to be using today are some simple yellow corn tortillas. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put those into strips. And I'll use my ulu. And I'm just creating some simple strips that we're going to fry. And these make a great crunchy topping. Okay, so we have those ready. And then we're going to do something really special. And that is where we are going to fry another crispy topping to put on top of our pinto bean soup, and that is going to be our jalapeños. If you've never fried a jalapeno, well, you're in for a treat. These are super quick and easy, and I'm going to show you how you can get those done. I like to use these for toppings on soup, but you can also just eat them as snacks if you want. And it's kind of like bacon. When you make bacon, you always want to make extra because you know you're going to eat a bunch while you're cooking. So you can go ahead and think about that when you're making these. And I'm simply dicing these into coins. And the coins, you're going to have kind of a thin size, and we don't need the stem or the tail, the tip, so we'll take those out of the way. Oh, everything just smells delicious. I love making soups in the kitchen. People are going to come around and ask, Mom, what's going on? And I'm going to be excited to share with them. When you're working with jalapenos, you always want to be real careful, making sure if you touch them that you don't touch your face. Now this is the secret for making a really good, crunchy, fried jalapeno. You could simply just dip them in your hot oil, but remember these are gonna flash fry, so you only want them in there for a very, very short amount of time. And the other thing I'm gonna recommend that you do is we're gonna put just a little bit of flour directly in on the jalapeno. Now, by doing this, it creates a nice little crunchy crust that I like. And I like to season it also with a little bit of black pepper. And we're gonna let those mix together. And those will be the second thing we fry. I wanna go ahead and show you. We're not adding very much, just a simple amount, small amount. And those are gonna go and be ready to fry up. Production crew, can you grab some paper towels for me, please? All right, let's go ahead and see if our oil's ready. One trick to do that is you can simply add it in and see how it's going. It's fine. Okay, let's go ahead and drop these in there. And these are gonna fry up real quick. One thing you wanna know about the crispy tortilla strips that you're doing is you want them to come to a very light, tender brown. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. And if you let them get too brown, then it's too late, you've gone too far. So you wanna make sure that you're coming together just like that. Thank you so much, I appreciate your guys' help. And I'm gonna go ahead and move this over so I can zoom in a little bit for the camera so we can see what we're looking at there. And those tortilla strips are coming together really nice. One thing we're gonna remember to do is we are gonna salt our tortilla strips heavily when we're done, because that's another way that we're gonna infuse some flavor into this delicious, easy soup that we're creating today. I love a lot of the feedback that I've been getting in my previous recipe posts, and it's really exciting to see some of the questions that people have been having. And one of them is, how do you make such crazy concoctions, or what are you doing every week with the same ingredients and creating them in a different way? And that's something that's really, I don't know, I guess I like to be a fun experimenter in the kitchen. But I was the oldest child of a single mom. My mom is a nurse, was a nurse, and later a doctor. And she's flying with the queso angels now in heaven, so she's not here. So I like to recreate a lot of the different meals that I made. And as the oldest child, it was my job to cook at home. So I started to just get a little bit creative, creating things for us to eat, and not always having the same old thing. Now, sometimes when I make beans, I can see the internal eye roll. People say, oh, beans again, Mom? But when I make it this way, nobody ever complains. So here we go, and our chips are frying up. So delicious. Nice and crispy. Now, you can shortcut also at this step if you're busy, or if it's easier for you to use the tostadas chips that you can find at the store. You're welcome to do those. But again, I like to cook. Budgets are really important right now, and being a frugal person in your kitchen and being able to make your meal allowance last longer is really important for all of us. It takes a lot of stress out. And one thing I'm really lucky about is that I have all of my children and my grandchildren that live close, so we share a lot of meals. We do a lot of meal sharing. We do a lot of budget sharing, where we all split the cost, and some of us will pick up the meat this week, or some of us will do vegetables. So we're really blessed that way, because we come together at the table, even when we're arguing, just like every family has their certain things, and we have busy lives, but we can always come together and share a laugh or a smile at the dinner table, and then go off with our busy ways. Now these look just about perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and take those out. And remember, when you're frying tostada chips, you do not want to go too fast, because they will burn, and then you're back to square one, doing it all over again. Thank you again to my crew for hustling up some paper towels to drain these on. I turned the heat down on the soup, so we're at a low simmer there, but it is smelling absolutely delicious. And remember, the spices are yours. When you're playing with the soup and having fun, you're really gonna enjoy it. I have a feeling. Now this next part, we are going to fry those jalapenos, as I had told you before. And for this, I'm going to recommend that you use a basket fryer if possible, so you don't have to worry about trying to fish all of these out at the end, because these cook really, really quickly. So what I did is I simply go ahead and I add them in there. And I am going to flash fry these. Ooh, those look lovely. And those take just a minute. And this is a really fun topping to put on top of soup. You can also do this with green chili as well, if you're interested in making strips and frying those up. And we'll go ahead and toss those around. I slice them up a little bit thicker than I usually do today because I'm doing this quick demo in my kitchen. But let me go ahead and see if I can show you how lovely those look frying up. Taking a nice stir of this. Remember to taste test as you go along in your kitchen. You want to make sure that everything is delicious, tasty. Welcome back. It's ready and it's delicious, and I can't wait to put it together. Just for a quick recap, remember we made a creamy pinto bean soup, also known as Sopa Tarasca. It's very famous in Western Mexico, so this is a little bit of a different soup that you may not have seen in a traditional New Mexico kitchen, but we made it in New Mexico and we're eating it, and it's delicious today. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add in our delicious soup to our bowl, and this is where the fun begins. You have a variety of different toppings, and today we did those fried jalapeños. We also did the chopped and diced avocado. We have some shredded cheese today. We have some delicious Mexican crema. And of course, a little bit of acidity. We're gonna squeeze some lime. So let's go ahead and build this today. For the crema, I like to just drizzle a nice little bit across the top. It's delicious. And I'm gonna add in some of those crunchy tortilla strips that we created. And those are gonna be just perfect. And a little bit of the avocado. This is wonderful on the side. Some people don't think about adding avocado or fresh vegetables, but it adds a delicious creaminess. And we'll put a couple of those fried jalapeños on top. And I hope that we can get some of this gooey, lovely cheese melted and going. I'm glad that you came into the ZIA cooking kitchen today, and look at that lovely soup. And I am so excited. This is hot and bubbly. It smells delicious. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to ZIA Cooking, you want to do that now. I appreciate all your feedback and some thumbs up, and thank you for joining me in my kitchen today. Really delicious. I did a good job today. See you guys next time.